Anyway, here's what's getting tight. The relationship between Trey Hendrickson and the Bengals. So you know how he asked for more money and they said no?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting ugly now. So Trey Hendrickson, apparently he and the Bengals have cut off really all communication. Can we hear Adam
Schefter?
It got
ugly.
Oh, wait, listen to this. It's getting really ugly. Adam Schefter on the Hendrickson-Bengals situation.
It's not great. He's not happy. And again, last year he played the good soldier, was told that if he comes back, plays well, keeps quiet, that he'd be taken care of. And the three players who have generated the most sacks and most pressures have been Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, and Trey Hendrickson. What's happened this offseason? Myles Garrett and Max Crosby, each with multiple years left on their deal, have been rewarded with contract extensions. Trey Hendrickson's going to the last year of his deal. So he's closer to the end of his contract than either Garrett or Crosby were. Now, yes, he's older, but still, he has done everything the way that you'd want a player to. And the Bengals have not had any conversations with him since the draft. They didn't even call him before, not that they needed to say, hey, Trey, FYI, we're going to draft Shamar Stewart here in the first round. Just want to give you a heads up. No bearing on how we feel about you. We love you, and we want to resign. I guess they don't owe him that call, but they certainly didn't make that call either. And I guess he still could be traded.
Yeah, so he said it's not great. I'll read between the lines. It's getting ugly between Trey Hendrickson and the Bengals. See, he's obviously not happy. They said they would redo his contract. They didn't, and they paid 2 receivers this offseason. All right, so there's that. And then Hendrickson came out yesterday and said he wasn't happy with the situation. Listen to this. This was Chase Daniel with Diana Rossini talking about the situation and the kind of their read, especially Daniel, the read on what Hendrickson's feeling right now.
I continue to hear that Cincinnati wants to make something work with Trey. Do I think that they're close in numbers? No. This is why you do something like this. You put out a statement because you're not happy. This is a tactic. Yeah. This is a way to negotiate. If the communication isn't there, then that tells me right now that there's a difference in the number that they're looking for.
This is a pointed attack. I don't want to say attack, maybe tactic from the Trey Hendrickson camp and agent. Who knows if it will work out, but it seems almost like they're trying to make the Bengals look bad. And the Bengals really haven't said anything about it publicly. For whatever reason, it sticks out for me because I know Trey personally. So it just tells me that they're a lot further apart than what maybe people think.
Yeah, the way it was framed there by Chase Daniel, almost like a pointed attack by Hendrickson and his agent on the Bengals. And then this was said today. This is a quote from Trey Hendrickson. Quote, if I sat here with 4 sacks, they'd want a pay cut and some money back. I'm not going to apologize for the rates being paid to defensive ends in the National Football League. Hugh, I put all this together, and all I keep thinking about is Howie Roseman needs to get on the phone with the Cincinnati Bengals. If that relationship is dead, I want the Eagles to pounce and get this guy.
Well, how much money are you asking for? Because like you said, you're talking about 2 other guys that got paid a lot of money in this offseason. So now, like for Howie, you have to figure out how much he wants. And does it fit with what you've been trying to do this whole time?
So that's a fair point. Let me throw a workaround for you. The Eagles just saved, $3 or $4 million on Dallas Goedert's contract?
Yeah.
They have $25 million in cap room. Q, I know you and many others have been like, hey, we can't spend a lot this offseason because we got to save the money for down the line, right? Jalen Carter and Quinyon Mitchell. Why can't we trade for Trey Hendrickson and give him more money for this year? Like, he's obviously not getting a long-term deal from anyone right now. If he stays with the Bengals, they're not giving him any money. So, I would trade for him and say, hey, listen, we can't give you a long-term deal right now, but I'll give you a big raise for this year. Add $10 or $15 million to his contract just for this year, and then he's a free agent after the year. Basically, rent him and try to make him happy to come here and play for one more season.
It sounds like a noble sentiment. I don't think that dog's going to hunt.
But what's he going to do?
Well, he's a little bit older.
Yeah, but I'm saying
he could refuse to play.
But we did this already, right? Reddick did this and lost.
I mean, he's a little bit different than Reddick, though.
No, I agree.
He's probably looked at a little bit different than Hassan Reddick.
But same age?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it doesn't work for players to sit out full seasons.
It doesn't.
It doesn't work.
But it's for the player, it's more about the principle.
And that's why I don't think he's going to play for the Bengals on this contract.
Yeah, it's more about the principle. And that's the thing that I hear people say all the time, they talk about Hassan and what he did and how stupid it was and everything. It meant more to him to do it the way that he did it than it meant for him to get the money.
Right.
They talk about what Le'Veon Bell did the same thing when he left the Steelers, and they talked about when he went to the Jets and how he didn't get that much money. It means more to the player. It might not mean that much financially to people that don't understand, but to stand on business and do things the way that you feel is right for you means a lot more than the payday does.
Sure. I think the relationship between him and the Bengals seems dead, but I do think if the Eagles traded for him, he may come in here with a different attitude because he doesn't have anything against the Eagles. They just trade. Like, I want to trade for him and see if Howie can make this work with the guy's agent for one season. I also saw this. So Trey Hendrickson vented for 23 minutes. Some takeaways. Ready for this one? According to one reporter who was at Trey Hendrickson's availability, Trey said he received a text from Zach Taylor on Monday threatening him with fines if he didn't show up at mandatory minicamp in June.
Threats.
That's
not a good way to do it. Dude.
Just like Hugh threatened Bryce Harper.
Mm-hmm. With the TikTok stuff. And we saw how that worked out. He went right back to doing TikToks. Didn't respect you at all.
At all.
How would you have responded if Jack Del Rio threatened you?
Does she do anything for us? I mean, what are we paying for?
See, Joe asked questions you already know the answer to.
I just wanted to know.
You know I don't know how to act, man.
Okay.
I'm working on that.
That's a young Hugh Douglas.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know how to act. I don't. I'm working on that. That's something I struggle with.
This is now mature Hugh Douglas.
That gap year might have turned into forced retirement.
Mature Hugh Douglas in a men's mediums polo right now. All right, Kyle. Would you trade for Henderson and try to make it work?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I like your idea of
Trade
letting him come here.
Kyle the strong arm king, though. I don't care. You're going to play for this money. You're going to like it.
I mean, but there is a
Give him a little
benefit
bump.
for him. Like, he can up his value here to the rest of the league, just like a lot of the like Josh Sweat and Milton Williams got huge paydays from the
But
Eagles
you know
last
what?
year.
You know what the unfortunate thing about that is when you reach a certain age and the league has already like deemed you declining player.
Yeah. But he just had 17 and a half sacks.
I know, but
You can get like
obviously
20 here next year.
But obviously, they're looking at him and they're thinking, he ain't old gray Mary ain't what she used to be. So it's probably a little bit of that going on.
But you could change it. I mean, Josh Sweat, we only got a 1-year deal here, and then he
was a little younger though.
He was.
He was a little younger.
A little bit.
Yeah, but not as good of a player.
Hassan Reddick didn't really change the narrative for himself. He in Tampa. I think he's in Tampa now, right?
He is in Tampa. Yeah,
he's in Tampa, but he ain't get a whole lot of bread. No. You know what I mean? So it's. I think what Trey's dealing with is the older stigma. You know, and that's not going to change.
So listen, I know I understand why the Eagles or any team wouldn't want to give him a long-term deal because that's a big commitment. But I'm just saying, like, I think he makes like $20 million, and I can understand why he's saying, "Hey, the best pass rushers make 40. Mm-hmm. I just had 17 and a half sacks. I make 20.
And you're what, 32?
30.
30?
30.
Yeah, they probably.
But how about we trade for him? I would trade a third-round pick to rent him for a year, and then you say, "Hey, listen, we're not prepared to give you a long-term deal right now. We got a lot of stuff on the future burner here." But how about we bump your salary up to $30 million?
And
Let's go.
the tantalizing thought of winning a Super Bowl.
Yes.
You know?
He's been to one. He almost won.
Hear you. Yeah, I hear you, but yeah, you want that bread, man.
If for no other reason, we need to get here so that we can keep using this.
He's a good player. 17 and a half sacks last year.
I like Trey.
Excuse me. That's not a reason.
It's a great reason.
See, we all got our own agendas today.
We do.
Everybody got an agenda today. Everybody has an agenda.
But you're missing the big picture for the whole station. Every show can use that. Let's hear what Hugh Douglas thinks of Trey Hendrickson. He's a good player. 17 and a half sacks last year.
I like Trey.
Excuse me. Yeah.
The more I play, the funnier
it gets better and better.
It really does. At my expense, though.
One more time. He's a good player. 17 and a half sacks last year.
I like Trey.
We have lost control. And this shirt is starting to cut off my circulation.
You're gonna come in. You're gonna come into bar. It sounded like that.
I don't know if you're going to make it the rest of the show in that men's medium. I mean, that thing is tight.
I don't think I'm going to make it to my truck in this thing.
We're just going to hear a rip at some point.
I'll be like, wait a minute. I don't even want to be here. Let me take this shirt off.
Well, that's what happens when you don't bring golf attire. All right, 215-592-9494. Your thoughts on this as well. Trey, if I'm the Eagles, I'm on the phone right now with the Bengals, and I'm seeing – because at some point it's going to become untenable. If he doesn't want to play there ever again, you got the head coach.
It might get a little physical.
The head coach is threatening him to not show up to minicamp. I mean, he's one of their best players.
But you know what? When it happens like that, and this is all jokes aside, when they start to threaten you like that means they're moving on.
It's over. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're not even trying to salvage the relationship at that point. they kind of want you to act the fool. So you have to be smarter. Like, you know what I mean? You got to be smart in a situation like that. And just know your first thought is probably not the thought you need to go with when it comes to that.
Yeah, the ironic part about this all happening is this is a big win for your brand. You realize that?
Yeah, defensive luxury.
Well, they paid both receivers, and they're threatening their all-pro defensive end.
I mean,
it's a big win for you.
I mean, listen, man, I have vision, and I saw this coming years ago. That's why it's like the hottest take on the planet.
Well, I don't know about that, but it doesn't mean this is smart.
No, I didn't say it was smart, but it's the truth. It's like the trend in the NFL. Defense is a luxury, not a necessity.
You had to do it again?
I'm just saying, it's the truth.
You haven't said it in a few weeks.
No, I'm just saying, it's the truth. It's the truth. And sometimes for some people, the truth hurts. That's why I'm the drunk uncle at the barbecue.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it the truth, but it's your truth. It's your truth.